back to the channel, and today a quick review for this. This is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. Now this was written in 1966 and it actually won the Hugo Award for Best Novel in 1967. It is very well thought of, this novel. This copy is 288 pages in paperback. It came in, at my word count, at just under 90,000 words. It took me about 4 or 5 days to read. It will probably take the average reader a couple of days. Not the longest book, but it isn't the easiest necessarily to read, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Now, this is a book that is set on a lunar colony, and it is a book really about kind of revolution and anti-colonialism. It is a book of kind of concepts and ideas more than anything, and those are kind of subversive in nature mostly. It's a classic kind of hard sci-fi in that way, I suppose. One quite interesting thing to note about this novel is its use of language. The English spoken in this is very reductive. It's a modern take on English that is almost like a pidgin English, and it uses some Russian phrases in there as well. That kind of reminds me of the Victorian use of French in social conversation, and it will drop it in there as and when it sees fit. And after reading this for long periods of time, you may find yourself a little bit kind of discombobulated. I found myself speaking slightly differently and even texting people almost to the same kind of cadence as people were talking in the novel. You'll know what I mean when you read it. It's an experience for sure. It is a novel with like an idea and a moral behind it. It does tackle colonialism and kind of revolution, and it takes it really from a very economic standpoint. It really looks at, you know, if you don't give people a lot of options, if you back people into a corner kind of economically, do they in effect become like a slave population? And, you know, will they revolt against that? And what would that look like? You know, the idea of kind of two castes of humans, because of their, you know, geography, being one being kind of elitist or superior to the other. Yeah, it's that kind of novel. It does that very effectively, to be fair. The first half of this novel, plot-wise, is very tight, it's very thrilling. I feel like the first half of the novel is the best part of this book, if I'm being honest. The second part, it does deteriorate a little bit into, there's some kind of heavy, you know, hard sci-fi info dumps that are kind of like pseudoscience. And then there's a lot of like, then this happened, and then this happened. And then it goes on for like 100 or so pages. So it doesn't quite fizzle out. You're hooked enough into the story and the characters to the point where you will definitely want to get to the end of the book, and find out what happens. But certainly it is a little uneven. It is a great read, if a little uneven. I'd actually give it a 3.8 out of 5.